Life, it's Home Plus Life Podcast. We're not here to just talk about the latest trends. We're gonna break through the myths and put some facts on the table. Cause when it comes to real estate, you need to be well informed. So now it's time to get serious and talk market trends. Here we go. Sure enough, we'll go down a rabbit hole and talk about something cool that has caught our attention. It's JTM. Welcome everybody, let's dive right in.
Where's your mother right now? There needs to be a drunklin come in and just go every freaking time.
I thought I was being really good too. I did the record. I would jump straight to the ad, and he's standing there looking at me as if to go, "Oh."
You were so confident. You've gone bang. There was a flourish when you hit the button, and I'm just looking, going, "Really?
She's
How you
really
do it?
proud of herself."
This is Ep 29. Are you doing this on purpose at this
No,
point?
I'm really not. It's where you've got it down below,
You
and I'm.
It says intro underneath the button that is the button for the intro.
Yeah, but I was looking at it going, my finger that's above finger. You've confused me.
It hasn't changed in 29 episodes. 32, including the special eps.
Well, anyway.
Dear me.
So today we're talking. Let's get really serial now, okay? We're talking about Airbnb tax in Victoria and what it means.
Yep.
And then the JTM, we're going to be talking about the resin desk that you did with our eldest.
Yes. We got some cool photos and stuff for that one too. That'll be really, really cool.
So now can I press the button that I really, really want?
I don't know. Can you? Can you?
Ready to sell your home? Don't make the rookie mistake of jumping in blind. The first step on your journey is critical. Research. You need to know what your house is really worth to get the best deal. And that's where checkmyhouseprice.com.au comes in. With a free house price report, you'll get all the juicy market intel, recent sales data, and other must-have info to help you win big when selling your home. Don't gamble on your home's worth. Make checkmyhouseprice.com.au the first step in your successful selling journey. Visit us today and get your free house price report.
J-Hate.
Oh, dear.
Okay, so this was something that you sent through to me the other day.
Yeah, it was a really interesting read, actually.
So Airbnb tax in Victoria and what it means.
Yes.
So,
Sorry, just making sure the cameras are recording there.
looking at my camera, who do you think
checking
you
the- I
are?
want to see the red light flashing.
Checking yourself out. That's what you're doing.
There's no... How come mine are the only buttons you can push correctly?
Talent.
So Victoria want to introduce an Airbnb tax.
Yeah, and I did come out to you, and I was like, hold on, what does
I was
this
so proud
mean?
of you. I'm so grateful that you know you felt safe with me to announce yourself and to come out being yourself.
My sides.
Push another button.
Do you want me to?
Oh, dear.
I pushed a button. So when I came out to you, I was like, how is this not like, because let's face it, normally when they introduce a tax, there's always a snowball.
Yep.
Whether it gets thrown at your face when you least expect it, or whether it's just a perpetual thing that starts at the top of the hill and ends up going down the hill. So the 7.5% tax going on all houses in Vic to help build 80k homes a year.
All right, let me just quickly jump in there. It's not going. The 7.5% tax is not going on all houses.
What?
It's
all going to houses.
Exactly.
Sorry, my bad.
Houses
I can't push
Victoria,
buttons and I can't read.
Houses Victoria is an agency that is charged with building 80,000 homes a year for the next 10 years, right? To accommodate Victoria's growing population. So the 7.5% tax is going to be applied to Airbnbs under this new proposal, okay? And it's going to, all of the money generated from that is going to help fund building 80,000 new homes a year.
And so why is it going, I know that's pretty obvious, but I'm going to be asking this anyway, just in case there's people that are coming in now and didn't hear the topic. Why is it going on Airbnb?
It's going on Airbnb has kind of become a bit of a magnet for these plans over the last few years because somebody somewhere along the line turned around and said, there's all these properties that are short-term accommodation now, and that's adding to the rental crisis because they're not in the long-term leasing market, right? And so it kind of gained momentum. Everybody got someone they could whip. Essentially, they got themselves a whipping boy that they could cry foul about, and it kind of distracted from the fact that we just don't have enough houses in this country.
Yeah.
And so there's been numerous plans floated around the country. Queensland floated a 5% tax late last year. The Greens did. This one in Victoria is seeming to go a little bit further, and 7.5, and it looks like it's going to get through. Who knows? Because Dan Andrews is now no longer in charge. So we'll have to see how that all comes out in the wash. But the main driver behind it is to get these short-term leasing properties, these Airbnb properties, put back into the long-term market. The data, however, and the analysts, the smart people, like PropTrack from realestate.com.au, who've got as much data as CoreLogic, and between them they have more data than anybody on the planet in regards to Australian real estate, have turned around and said there's going to be minimal impact, that few will either go long-term lease or be sold.
Yeah.
So if we back their data, and when they come out and say something like this, and they back it with data,
It's kind of hard to argue.
It's hard to argue with, right? It's hard to argue with. So what does this mean? If they're going to put a 7.5% tax on Airbnbs, well, it means, and they estimate, it'll cost us about an extra $100 to holiday for a weekend in Victoria using Airbnb.
Yeah.
So about $50 a night. Okay. So if it's
Hold
going
on, you just said $100 a week, but
a
then...
weekend.
Oh,
a weekend,
okay.
sorry, a weekend. So if it's going to cost us more money to holiday in Victoria, wouldn't we go holiday somewhere else? Is there going to be a flow-on effect into the tourism market, which is going to...
Well, that's what I did ask you about, because Airbnb, that's travel, which is huge for tourism, and especially if you, you go to those smaller places like, let's say, Stanthorpe. It is.
Yep.
It's not exactly tiny, but it's not exactly huge either. Yep. Where there is a lot of places on Airbnb because of it just being easier. Because previously to Airbnb, people would still have to go to, real estate.
Realestate.com or something like that.
Yep.
So, look, if you look at it from a purely economical perspective, generally speaking, and a lot of the people I've talked to who have got Airbnb properties, who know people with Airbnb properties, if they can get about a 30% occupancy rate, they earn the same as a long-term lease. So that gives them a hell of a lot of upside.
Yeah.
Because they've got a property that is getting as much as a long-term lease, but it's only getting 30% of the wear and tear, number one. Number two, they can increase that occupancy rate and earn more. And that's huge.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too is that when it comes to a long-term lease with a furbished house, because let's face it, that's the reason why you can charge a bit more when it comes to, furbished houses, because people look at it and go, oh, I don't mind paying $250 a night because it's got everything there.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
I can just take my bag full of clothes and rock up.
Yeah, everything's sweet. And obviously 30%, that covers everything. But if you're going to have a long-term lease with your furniture in it...
Well, there's wear and tear on the furniture, and you're responsible for that. There's wear and tear on the house. And so there's a lot of benefits to it.
Because I do also know, because I do have family friends who had holiday leasing in apartments, and part of you having a holiday apartment was, yes, you can say this is like I own this apartment, so therefore this period of time each year I'm going to be having. The rest of the time, you know, needs to be looked after, can be rented out. But with that, they had to have furniture in there.
Yeah.
Like,
And that's another point. I think you make a great point there. If they can break even with a 30% occupancy rate, that's 70% of the time they have a holiday home that's available to them. Right? So there's a lot of benefits to it. The data's showing, and this is where, you know, there's this groundswell against it, and to get these put back into the rental market and the long-term rental market, there's no incentive to do that. And 7.5% tax is not going to incentivize people to do that. They're just going to add that to the cost of an Airbnb. So it's going to be the tourists, it's going to be the people staying that are going to pay that. That's going to have a flow-on effect to potentially turn away tourism or have tourism go elsewhere. But business is still going to go because business has to go and do the deal. So business will just pass the cost on, right? So it's a minimal impact. The only good thing I see out of this, and I would want to see it tracked, because look, we all know the government comes out and says, oh, we're going to do this tax and we're going to put all of the money generated from it into this particular project, and it goes into the giant government tax slash fund, and then who knows what goes where, right?
yeah.
But the fact that they are going to put it into building 80,000 homes a year, I think is hugely beneficial.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just listening to the...
It's not being picked up.
Oh, okay.
So I was watching that. There's someone started mowing lawns. These are the joys of having a little mini podcast set up in your own home. Is, you know, you got kids on school holidays.
Last ep we had the robo vacuum cleaner start up.
That was 2 eps ago.
Yeah. Starting schedule cleaning.
And
we just looked at each other, just went,
At least it's real, right? Like, at least it's all real and authentic.
And so the next thing, because we've gone over PropTrack.
Yep.
Because this was another thing that I came to you and I was like, hold on, we know that this has the potential of really, like, being crappy. Like what the Queensland government wanted to do with bringing in that stupid tax with taxing interstate investors.
This has nothing to do with that.
No, it doesn't.
They wanted to bring in a 5% Airbnb tax.
No, I'm talking about the flow-on effect, right, from other state investors and potential for investors in that state to be, you know what, I'm going.
It could go either way. Investors could go, I don't care, I'll just up my rates by 7.5%, and therefore they continue to buy. I suppose if you know that you're going to rent, if you know you're going to get the numbers, it doesn't matter what it is, right? It's extra paperwork and admin, which is going to be a nuisance. That's going to be a pain in the backside. Will it drive investors to buy in other states? Maybe. Yeah. Maybe. You'd have to ask the individual investors on that. This isn't like the land tax, where the land tax was so ridiculous.
Oh, yeah, it was stupid.
Like, so many investors sold out of Queensland. Even before the law came in. They just went, you know what? If this is where we're out. I think the biggest concern with this is it's starting at 7.5%.
Yeah.
We know.
The only way is up.
Yeah. Right? And that's a problem. That's a problem.
I reckon if anything, they should have started at like 3, 4. See what the response was.
Oh, they'll have done a focus group to figure out what people would stomach.
Do you know what? They probably turn around and go, oh, it's just like GST. We're going to have this little tax on there, and then we're going to put GST on top of it too. So, pow, pow.
I don't know about that one. That sounds like one for an accountant. But yeah, look, I think in the short term that for people that are adverse to doing their taxes or at the administrative side of things, it may increase costs in terms of accounting costs and things, so they might look at another state.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to drive... Like, it might drive interstate investors away because it seems too hard, but I don't think it's going to drive Victorian investors out of Victoria. I think ultimately it's just going to cost more money. I suppose
it's where you're going to be looking as to, like, if you know that you're going to be investing in a regional area that has a high Airbnb, for example, like here in Queensland, I'm pretty sure there's plenty of them, but here in Queensland we have Stanthorpe, which is wine region. You know, people go out there and people flock, right? Yeah. So I'm guessing that they would be similar places down in Victoria.
Oh, there's similar places all over the
where
country.
regional,
Yeah.
right? It may hit a little bit harder given the fact that you're not having the if the investors look at it and go, hold on, and people would do it where it's like, well, why would I go and stay at Airbnb when I can go and stay at the local motel?
Oh, the Airbnb is probably a lot nicer.
It is, but at the
Just
same
on it.
time, when it
But
comes to
It'll be the way it'll look.
like, if you're wanting just to go and stay there, you'll do the weigh up and go, do I really want to go and spend an extra $100, or do I just want to suck it up and deal with the motel?
Yeah, look, I think for those on a budget that might factor in, but the data's showing it's going to be minimal impact.
Yeah.
I think what will happen though, and where my concern is if this passes and goes through in Victoria, every other state will do it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like they've all, every other state will do it.
Which may be the death of Airbnb when you think about it.
No, it won't be because
Well,
hotel like
I would be
okay.
interested in. Okay, so what is Airbnb already taking out of that?
I don't know. I think it's 20-30%, something like that. But
My question would be, what other listing places, right, that you could list on?
there'll be others
as
that
to,
pop up. But,
yeah.
I mean, when you look at the rate of hotels, like I stayed in a crappy hotel in Sydney recently, like, and it was supposed to be fancy, but because it was CBD, it was a fortune. Like it was $400 for a night, right? And it wasn't anything flash,
Yeah.
at all.
Yeah.
And I look at that and I think and go, that's kind of the average price these days. You know, the average rack rate, unless you're getting some sort of sale price. So I think there's still going to be a place for Airbnb. I think that there's a fairly significant gap generally in costs between between Airbnb and hotels. And I think that's one of the reasons why hotels, don't like Airbnb.
Yeah.
You think about the place we love to stay in Tassie. You know, we get a 3-bedroom place overlooking the water and it costs us $360 a night on average, right? To get something equivalent to fit all of us, we're paying $600, $700, $800 a night.
Yeah,
You know,
in a hotel.
In a hotel. So I think there's still going to be a place for Airbnb. I don't think this is going to affect, like it's not going to achieve the stated goals of getting these short-term leasing properties back into the long-term leasing market. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it's just going to end up bringing money into.
I think there might be a bit of a negative impact when it comes to tourism.
Maybe a little one. I think 7.5% is probably not enough to really impact heavily. I think the benefit of it is the fact that it's going to fund 80,000 homes a year being built.
Yeah.
There's that benefit, which that'll then probably create an opportunity for more Airbnbs to pop up. So
This is
who
true.
knows? But
Yeah.
No, I'm not too
right.
worried about this one. I just don't like the fact that it'll probably end up in every other state if it gets passed in Victoria, and
but-
it won't sit at 7.5%.
No, it won't. It'll increase. I reckon it'll end up like 10% in no time. That one?
Let's see which rabbit holes we're going down in this episode. It's time for JTM. It's J-Thought Moment. It might be drinking whiskey, but work, smoking meat, podcasting, story writing, treasure hunting, you name it. What's really grinds my gears, singing, playing TV shows. As you can see, nothing's off limit. It's JTM, J-Thought Moment. JTM. What will be his next shiny object? JTM. It's time for this week's J-Thought Moment.
I nearly did it.
They're even different colours. Oh, dear.
I try.
Yeah.
All right. So the resin desk.
Yeah, so
That's
This-
going to be
this-
the resident desk.
this was a rabbit hole and a half, wasn't it? So Tom started working. You know, full credit to him. He's taken a full load of study
Our eldest.
and he's working. And he kind of wanted to set up his bedroom to make it more conducive to study and that. And he goes, Dad, I want to get a desk. Took him shopping and he wanted to buy it because he's earning his own money. He wanted to buy it. And the problem is that Tom's 6'2". And a lot of the desks that could fit his budget, which he had a budget of about $100, they all had him like crunched under this desk, like folded in half, like he was trying to jam into a sardine can, right?
I mean, it would have been funny for us to see him like concertina out of the desk every single time.
Right up until we got the bill for the Cairo.
What's life without a bit of pain?
Yeah, well, that's it, right? So we're there in Office Works, and I sort of said to him, I said, oh, well, maybe
I feel that this was a bit of a setup because he's been asking me about doing one of these resin desks.
I said,
for
maybe
some time.
we just make you a desk.
I conveniently took him to somewhere that didn't have the right suiting desks.
It wasn't a setup.
maybe.
It was opportunistic. It wasn't a setup because I'm sitting there and I'm going, these desks aren't suitable. And then we were looking at desks that would be suitable, and they're $500-600. And I'm like, why don't we just build one? Why don't we just build? We'll build. And I said to him, why don't we build a resin desk? He's like, oh, let's do it. Can we? I'm like, yeah, let's do it. We'll figure it out. Well, surely it's not going to cost $600.
Surely.
Yeah. We're not going to talk about how much it costs, but it didn't cost $600.
Yes,
I'll tell you
but okay, this is where so many people get it wrong when it comes to doing furniture, upcycling, and all the rest of it. Creation. When you first do it, it is an expensive task.
Yeah.
Once you do 2, 3, 4 pieces, those things that you went and bought the
Oh,
first
no,
time
it does.
round,
It comes out cheaper in the long run,
Yeah.
and I get that. I mean, the resin was expensive. Like we needed 15 liters of resin, and so 10 liters of the actual resin and 5 liters of the hardener, and that was $380 just for that alone.
Yeah, but
that
where
was
did you
mental.
buy it from?
We got it at wholesale rates. So the guys at Slab Lads down at Slacks Creek helped us out. Like we got the timber from Stephen down there, and he also helped us out with the resin as well. And just we paid his cost. He was helping us out, which was awesome. But that's, I mean, resins, you look on Amazon and it's insanely expensive. But so we started to build this resin desk. Mm-hmm. And we built this resin desk together. And it's actually, it's as easy as what it looks in the YouTube videos, in the sense that you follow a process. So you follow the steps.
Sort of like cooking?
Kind of like cooking, very much like cooking.
That there's a recipe
'Cause
and a method, and you follow the method?
If you screw it up, things do get too hot, which we learn. We had a couple of little hiccups and stressful moments. The big thing is being patient. Is being really patient, because if you pour a layer of resin,
Is that one of your virtues?
oh no, no, but you pour a layer of resin. If you pour the next layer on top of it too soon, there's a chemical reaction that happens between the hardener and the resin, which heats things up, right? And so if that lower layer is still hot and or warm and is still having that chemical reaction, even though it seems about the right consistency to pour another layer on, then the next layer is going to heat up even more, and heat builds on heat, right? And so it's going to harden really, really quickly and potentially shatter. Now, we didn't have it shatter. We got super, super close. It didn't crack, thankfully. It did kind of pull away from the timber edges a little bit. But it was high stress, I guess, for that, because...
And the one thing that I can say too is that when it comes to this type of thing, you need to be really, really particular about how you pour, and any spillage that you make sure that you
do.
wipe it up.
You do.
And
we were.
JH.
And we were.
Where were you?
Yeah.
With all the blue little blip blips.
Yeah, that was unavoidable. Like, that was always going to...
But you didn't wipe it up.
Well, we couldn't. We wiped up what we could, and then it's left some of the timber stained, and we couldn't sand it because the other resin was wet, and it would have just messed up the resin. So, it is what it is. We figured out a way around it. It's fine. You'll see in the photos that we'll share that, like, it... we put, like, a purple and gold border around it, because that's Tom's, like, his gaming colors and that he, with his gaming logo, like his little streaming logo and stuff, he's all purple and gold, so we put, like, a little border around it and stuff. But...
And in it, it does have LED lights.
Yeah, so one of the things Tom wanted to do is, he goes, if we're going to build a resin desk, Dad, can we create a Star Wars scene in it? And so that led us to tracking down Star Wars micro machines. Not an easy task to get, like, TIE fighters and X-Wings and stuff.
Is it cheap?
It's not a cheap task, especially when it ends up that you find exactly what you're after, but it's in Perth, and the seller won't ship it, so you have to arrange for your best mate who doesn't drive to catch an Uber to go and pick it up, and then Uber back to his house, and then ship it to you express. Kind of adds a little bit to it. So we did that, and we got those, and we created a dogfight scene, and we put some LEDs in it as well, so it all lights up really cool and stuff like that. And yeah, so we completed it over the weekend. a little while back, and then took it back into the guys at Slab Lads down at Slacks Creek, and they sort of shaved down the edges for us and sort of finished the edging and polishing on it, and then we put some legs on it, and away it went, and it looks amazing, and it's definitely not a $600 desk.
No, it's more.
We're not going to talk about that.
All right. So, did you enjoy the process?
Look, it was awesome. I think, when we were building it, we were building over the school holidays, and Tom had just had a pretty shitty term, to be honest.
And he was sick.
He was sick.
He wasn't feeling too
great. And so it was a really good bonding thing. Like, we really enjoyed doing it together. I think it was really, really cool to get in and do that together. I offered it to build one with the other kids. I think Avalon's probably going to want one when we move house. I was surprised that Ollie and Paxton turned around and went, no, they don't want one. So I don't know. Maybe they'll change their mind after they see.
Look, we
Tom's
already
all set
have. I already know what's going to be wanted to be for Avalon.
Oh, she wants a Paris cityscape.
Yeah. But
Sarah talks to me about it.
I'm guessing that there potentially is wanting to be a bit of a Clarice.
Yeah.
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 The chicest mouth in Paris.
Yeah. But look, I think it's actually really cool. Like, I look at it now and we light it up, and it looks really cool despite the mistakes we made. Like, there were certain things that we forgot to do, like sanding down the timber properly and sealing it properly before we poured the resin, which meant we got a lot more bubbles in it than what, a professional job would. It doesn't look terrible. In fact, it actually kind of fits the Star Wars scene, being that they're flying through a canyon on, this Star Wars kind of world. And so the bubbles kind of look like mist coming up and that. So it kind of worked in our favor there.
Luckily,
we got lucky a number of times. And I think that, it's a really cool thing to do. And I think that if you've been watching the reels on Facebook, you've been watching bits and pieces on it and going, oh, I should do that, do it.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that we got advice from Stephen at Slab Lads, and he was really good. He said, go to Bunnings and get some melamine and have them cut it into the pieces so you can build a frame. And so what you do is you build the frame for the size of the desk or the table or whatever it is you want, and then you seal it. So what you'll do there is you'll get like a Sally's sealant type deal, and you'll seal the gaps in the frame, because you'll screw it all together, and then you'll seal that, and then you'll spray the whole frame with like a silicone mold release type thing.
Yeah.
And then you'll place your timber in, and then you'll start pouring your resin, essentially. And I think that was really good. Like, we had to take the frame off it, and it was a bit hard, but it did pop off, thankfully, due to the silicone.
So why didn't you just unscrew it?
We did. We unscrewed it first and then took the individual sides and bits and pieces off.
Oh, right.
Yeah, we unscrewed it. The one thing that I'd do differently is the sealant that I got, it's like a tacky sealant. So it self-repairs, which is great. We had no leaks, but it also left tackiness on the resin, and so we had to clean all that up and all that. But yeah, no, it was awesome. We got some color pigment, some mica color pigment off of Amazon, and we put that through, and that looks amazing. And yeah,
nice. So out of 5, what would you recommend the experience?
I think it's like a 4.5. I would absolutely do it again.
Yeah.
And I think that, it's, if you're sitting there going, I kind of wish that I had done it or want to do it, go and do it.
Yeah.
And go on, because I know I can get the timber cheaper.
Yeah.
But we found the perfect pieces at Slab Lads. Yeah. Right. And they were mostly prepared. They were already dried out. You don't want wet timber because moisture and resin is not a good mix.
Yeah.
So we got the perfect piece of timber, and we'll show you that. But yeah, it was awesome.
Okay.
And he loves it. He loves it despite the mistakes and the stuff that we made.
Cool. So should we talk about the next episode as to what's coming? Let people know.
Yeah. Next step, what are we talking about next
next ep, we'll be talking about what makes a good agent. And then for the JTM, we're going to be talking about the perfect lamb rub.
I think we've actually got a special guest for that one.
Oh.
I think we might be pulling someone who's worked with a few agents and has made a few agents look really good.
Well, we're going to have a special guest too.
We're going to have a special guest.
Oh, look at us.
Yeah,
we're coming up in the podcast world, aren't we? We've got a special guest.
I wouldn't go that far.
We've had special guests, but this one hasn't been. We've never had anyone come in studio.
Yeah, a little makeshift studio in our spare room.
And on that note,
and yeah, we'll do the perfect lamb wrap because lamb is cheap as chips at the moment.
okay, I can see that he's about to go down another rabbit hole. So let's finish it here, and I hit the right button.
I'm watching. I'm wondering if you've got the right button.
And now.